we're overstocked. We got a ton of board, ton of machines that aren't running. What's going on? So we'll hopefully get some feedback from Ryan on what's actually happening. And we got Hugh Curtis coming in. Maple syrup.
Hey, Hugh.
Buy some.
Hi, Hugh.
Help him out.
I had so much fun with Hugh and Andy at the coffee shop in Greensboro.
Yeah.
What was that trip all about?
Everybody.
Adam?
Yeah, tell us.
What was that trip?
What's like hanging out with people that you've met on LinkedIn, but actually seeing them in person? We lost him.
Yeah.
He's just chilling. All right, so
sorry,
Corey.
My internet keeps cutting out. It's making me sad.
That's all right. We'll do the heavy lifting today for you, sir.
For sure. So Hugh saying it was a good time. Thanks, Hugh. Thanks for coming in.
Always Hugh.
Clutch.
Yeah, and Hugh, if you make it to Greensboro, Hugh's going to buy you coffee.
Sweet.
That's fair. Looking forward to that.
All right, so trying to get Ryan situated over here while we're talking. But
and by the way, while you're getting Ryan situated, I want to give Corey a quick shout out.
Yes,
because he has inspired me when I travel to bring my own travel mugs.
Well done.
So I got this Myers Yeti
new gear
when we did our rebrand, people, products, and our planet. And a quick plug, our ebook, Sustainable Packaging Guide for Millennial and Gen Z buyers is at Myers.com. And it's great. 63 pages of great content. So check it out.
Nice
work.
Nice. So we got Ryan hopping on here in just a couple of minutes. But yeah, it's good stuff, man. You should always travel with the travel mug, right? Don't have to use reusable or single use.
Mm-hmm.
Practice what you preach, man. All right, so today we're going to talk about box demand being up or down. We're going to talk about paper versus plastic. I know I saw a post this morning from Medulla, who's Neil and his team that run Medulla were saying whether paper should replace plastic in every instance. I saw some new paper tubes for cosmetics, like squeeze tubes, which I thought were pretty interesting. And then obviously the straw debate, right? Whether paper should be replacing plastic straws, which they shouldn't. They just are horrible. And then I do have some AI updates. I did see some crazy stuff in AI this weekend as I'm preparing for LuxPack, like Wednesday. I try to keep my presentations as fresh and updated as possible, and things in AI are just happening so quick that it's like I can't be ready to present until I can't have my presentation done until like 5 minutes before I go up. Well, let's just jump right in with Ryan. If you guys are good, what do you think, Adam?
Yeah,
I want to know, what does the fox say? Ring, ding, 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 ding.
Now, I did hear that at one point in time, all of those sounds from the song are supposed to be exactly like what a fox does say in the real life.
That's awesome.
Let's hear it.
Yeah, go for it.
No thanks.
But if nobody's there to hear
we gotta go.
Like, does he actually?
He's not a singer.
Yeah, it was.
Good morning, Ryan.
Store Enzo.
Good to see you, man.
Store Enzo's the one that came out with the fiber board tube. So you can't see that, but it's there. We'll pull that up here in a second. All right, Ryan. So let's jump right in, man.
Yeah.
What the hell's going on with box board demand?
What's up?
What's up?
Yeah.
What's up with boxes, Ryan? Foxes?
Corrugated, man. Corrugated.
Yeah. So apparently there might be this thing called a recession.
No.
I know, strange news to some people.
Believe it.
I don't believe it.
But I mean, listen, the comparisons are incredibly unreal. So let's just start and paint this as fairly as we can, right? We had this crazy thing called a pandemic. It created incredible amounts of demand because people couldn't go out and spend their money on concerts and movies and all sorts of other things. So what did we do? We shifted that purchase to stuff. And in the early days of the pandemic, that stuff came through e-commerce. As the pandemic went on, we started going back to retail. But at some point, things decided to change, and people were like, "Hey, we've bought a lot of stuff here lately. We don't need to keep buying anymore." And so about a year ago, we saw that box shipments were declining. And it was not to say that, oh my gosh, we're in trouble, but it was just an early indicator that things are coming back to normal, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so we had gotten so busy during the pandemic. I mean, even a year ago, the average lead time to get boxes was probably about 4 weeks, which is absolutely insane because the norm is about 5 to 7 business days.
Hmm.
So it was still very, very long. And the comparisons to what the volume was like I said, because of the pandemic, it was so high that it was kind of unreasonable to think that it was going to continue to stay that high for that long. And so
Right.
about mid-year, we started to see a trend change where box demand was going down, just as a comparison. You know, it wasn't like, oh, the sky is falling. It was just things are not what they used to be.
More back to normal.
More back to normal. So
Right.
what we're seeing, and the narrative that it's coming
Is it
from a lot of
normal, though?
producers,
It seems like people are
what
feeling
is
it's a
normal?
big dip, right?
We're just starting to see that things are more on a pre-pandemic pace. For some people, it is on a 2019 pace, and for others,
Mhm.
is a 2017 pace. It really depends on who you are in the country, where you are in the country, what kind of capabilities you have. But we are seeing some things that are, I'll say, little glimmers of hope. While things are down tremendously, we are seeing a pretty big push from the big brands to do point of purchase promotions and in-store displays. So we are seeing some things like that are like, okay, well, things are definitely changing, but I don't want to go Chicken Little, the sky is falling, but they're not what they used to be even a year ago.
And what's besides like the talk of recession and people now not buying stuff that they didn't necessarily want to buy? I gotta tell you, I bought a bunch of crap. Yeah. Dude, at the beginning of the pandemic, I'm like, dude, I'm just gonna buy a guitar. I'm gonna take this time to learn how to play guitar. You know, I grew up playing bass. I'm like, I can do this. I bought a guitar, never touched it. You know, I think there's a lot of people that did that, where they just like bought something and never used it. I know I interviewed a guy from a company for the podcast, and he in the background he had a guitar. I'm like, he's like, dude, you got a guitar too? I'm like, yeah, we should jam. He's like, I bought this for the pandemic because I haven't learned how to play it yet. I'm like, yeah, me too. I know there's more people than just me that just
The
bought
wall
a bunch of
hanger.
junk.
Yeah.
Can we talk
I'm
about
like,
can we talk about how you introduce this person as a guy from a company on the podcast?
actually, his name,
That's my favorite.
actually, his name was no, sorry. It was like
It's
early
fine.
on.
It was just
Actually,
so
no,
funny.
his
Like,
name-
I talked to this guy from a company on a podcast.
well, you know what it's like. There's a lot of people.
I know.
But no,
I
it
know
was
so
Ryan
many
over at
people.
New Earth.
You don't want to give
Perfect.
details. Details.
Yeah.
Inappropriate.
No.
Well, Ryan, would it kind of be like, I mean, maybe this is an extreme example, but if you took something like hand sanitizer, you know,
Yeah.
like hand sanitizer there was a normalcy to growth, I'm sure, for the hand sanitizer market. And then obviously there was this incredible growth, and obviously it's going to be more extreme than the corrugated, but I think people need to realize that you have to almost look back to 2019 to
Yeah.
see like what was the demand then, because
Mhm.
it was all over the place for boxes, and so it should normalize. I mean, I know I have customers who had a tremendous spike and they had to hire a bunch of people, and then they were like, oh no, our sales are falling down. And my buddy was like, if we would have just had a normal growth, you know, 3 to 5% year over year like we had for the previous 10 years, that's where we're at right now. They had to
Yeah.
have mass layoffs and all this stuff because they just couldn't support 50% growth year over year.
Yeah. Well, I think it was Avelio posted about the Freight Waves article from Adam Josephson and how the box demand bubble burst. To some extent, yeah, that's a great way to put it. On the other hand, you know, to your point, Adam, it is kind of falling right back into where it was before the pandemic. I think we could argue maybe it's going to be worse than I just posted this morning that before the earnings season came out, where we're able to get some feedback from the big integrated companies and even feedback from the American Forest and Paper Association, the Fiberbox. Our publication that we put out is a kind of a fill in the blanks for a lot of that. We talk about what box demand might be in the next month or 2 or 3. And so we had data that we were going to compare to what the actual performance was like, and we could see. And we were pretty good, all things considered. There was a little bit of a larger gap this time than previous because, well, I think the bottom really fell out for a lot of producers in February and March. March especially. March was down about 12%, ballpark, I think 11 to 12% on a year-over-year basis, which sounds really bad, but when you compare it to 2016 or 2019, it was still up a handful of percentage points. So it's not, oh my gosh, the sky's falling, but hey, we're coming back into where we think we're going to be. But we painted 3 different demand scenarios, like best case, a moderate case, and a worst case. And unfortunately, right now, things are aligning with our worst case scenario, where we see demand shrinking back and even going back beyond 2019 output. But that,
Ryan,
who knows? Who knows?
Ryan, there was some increased supply on the market, right? There was some new facilities coming on board, some new equipment coming on board. Have some of those plants been shuttered and some of those to rebalance?
So yes, we've seen a couple things. First, we saw an additional about 5% of paper mill growth. So several new paper mills are coming online.
Oh, wow.
Expanding how much more paper we can produce. Now, at the same time that's happening, we've had several that have been closed. So there is a kind of equalizing of things where some of the older machines that aren't as efficient, they will require millions of dollars of investment to stay competitive. They're being shut down right now.
Yeah.
The newer machines that are coming out are so much more efficient. They're so technical. They can make a really lightweight paper that's very, very strong. And this is kind of the way the industry is moving. So I'm really not surprised by some of that, but instead of it being about 5% growth this year with some of the closures, we're going to see it come down a point or two. I think it was at 2.5 million tons of additional paper supply. Now it's coming down under 2 million. But the real big thing here is that from a producer standpoint, when you think about not just paper, but how it turns into a box, all of that capacity shot up. I don't know that anyone has a firm number on how much it went up, but it's probably well into the double digits. And if I was shooting from the hip, I'd probably say easily 15 to 20%, maybe more. Some companies were buying new machines that were replacing machines from 40 years ago. And so their output doesn't just go up by 20%, their output goes up 4-fold. So there were so many of these new machines that hit the marketplace that it is creating a completely new dynamic where the lower amount of demand is met with a higher set of efficiencies, where in 2019, their old machines would have kept them full and running all day. The new machines are getting them done at 11 a.m.
Right.
So it is a very strange dynamic.
Sure.
Wow.
So you're running your projects faster, and maybe you don't need as many people.
In some cases, yeah. In some cases, they have a robotic, what they call a pre-feeder, that's going to load sheets into the end of the machine, and they have a robotic load former that's going to stack everything on the back side of things. And, so yeah, what you maybe once had to do with 4 people, now you can do with 2. But in most cases, these box plants aren't letting the people go. They're just they're retraining them to do something greater, to train the robots to manage a different process. Finding somebody
ChatGPT fonts or prompts.
Yeah, I mean, listen, somebody who knows how to work a converting press in a corrugated box factory they're a pretty rare commodity.
Right.
So you want to hold on to those folks.
Yeah. So all right. So
that's my first job. Yeah.
So we got Corey and we got Adam. Corey, have you seen box demand going down? Right. Like, are you able to say whether you have or haven't, or is this like,
I can tell you, but no. I think it's a leveling off. I think Ryan's using the right phrases. It's back to more reality. There was such a massive spike that was just insatiable demand that we couldn't keep up with. Nobody could. And to have customers upset that lead times are 5 weeks or more. There was a point where it was more, and people just couldn't believe it. So the orders became massive because of fear. There was a fear buy that had a lot of people buying way too much stock. So we're just, in my opinion, I think Ryan's exactly correct. We're right back to where we were, and maybe a little bit lower than it would have been had things just progressed naturally. But like he said, we've invested in some incredible technology. The presses are better, they're faster, they're more automated. It's kind of exciting to see that the packaging industry took a major jump forward to accommodate this new demand. Oh, this is what we're doing.
Yeah, we got Adam's waving at everybody over there.
Sorry, this is Chris.
Oh, hey, Chris.
Hey.
Sorry,
all right, so,
I thought I found a safe spot, but
no, man. Hey, dude. So, all right, so Adam, what about you?
Yeah, the thing that I've noticed. So Myers is obviously a little bit different than Landsberg or Aurora. In some cases, we're similar, but our corrugated is like large format displays and litho label boxes, and what might be considered more premium. Like we don't make one color shipping boxes or something like that. And what I have seen happen over the last couple of years, and probably actually the last year, is companies that can do both, that are doing both the brown box stuff and are also doing retail displays, are putting a lot more price pressure on the retail display side. So that's it's become actually a lot more competitive, whereas it probably was similar to the shipping side in that it was like, can you just get it for me? I've got to get this launch done in Walmart.
Gotta have it.
It's like,
right.
Yeah, we put you out to bid to these 4 people in this company, which to your point, Ryan, is more normal. That's not like a weird thing, but there has been that shift and that pivot back, because I think there are some companies that are just trying, they're lowering their margins on what used to be the premium work because they have capacity. And so there is a bit of a ripple effect all the way through the entirety of the corrugated industry when you have capacity. And you have companies that have quarterly earnings reports to hit, even privately held, that have, bank covenants and things like that they need to, stay faithful to. So, yeah, I mean, it's always going to have an impact downstream and upstream if you're touching the in this case the corrugated material.
And how's that affected your kind of go to market right now, where okay, you understand there's some slack in demand. How does that change how you're interacting with customers?
I mean, honestly, we do have to be more aggressive on pricing. The thing about these retail displays that's unique to me, because this isn't my background, right? I came from folding cartons, labels, and shrink sleeves, is it's not an annuity. It's a one-time purchase. And so pricing that, you can't miss on it, right? Like you have to, they can tend to be pretty complex, and you really need to be accurate, because you can't say like, okay, we're going to make this up over a period of 2 years of running this. It's like one job going to Best Buy.
Right.
Yeah, but Adam, your cost of employment is still up.
Correct.
All things considered, freight is still up. Pallet prices are still up. There are a lot of things that are still way more expensive than they were before the pandemic. So now that push to lower your price is really, that hurts. That's not just we're just going to lower our price because we can. No, it's like, no, this hurts.
Oh no, it's certainly impactful. I mean, because you've got upward pressure, like you said, on the production costs, and now you have this downward pressure coming on the market price. And so it just is what it is, right? I mean, the the market sets the cost of labor, the market sets the price of materials, the market sets the price of freight, and the market also sets the purchase price. And so, what are you going to do? It's tough. You just gotta try to find the right opportunities when you can find them. Got to have the right equipment. You better hope you had invested 2 years ago appropriately to create competitive market price. And a good go-to-market strategy.
Ryan, I ran into your coworker Adam Minter. Got to hear him speak at the Sustainable Packaging Coalition. I told him we were friends, and he's like, "Oh, you know that guy?" he was really great speaker. Wow,
brilliant writer. I mean, does a fantastic job.
Yep.
Him and ChatGPT, right?
Yeah, right. Same.
I haven't had any luck with that.
No.
I was about to ask, like, are you using any AI to write?
No, in fact, it's prohibited. I jest that I haven't had any luck with it. I'm not allowed to play with it, so I don't really know anything about ChatGPT other than what people have showed me.
Yeah, they say don't play with it, or you'll go blind. So
yeah.
I'm pretty sure that's not.
I think I did that. I'm not sure.
Oh my gosh. That's looking at the sun. Looking at the sun, Emilio.
Oh, that's a different festival. Right.
So, all right. So Ryan, with box demand being down, right? Like, is it when that statement's made, is it just specific to corrugate?
So corrugated box demand is definitely down. I don't measure folding carton grades, but I think it's pretty safe to assume that it's not as robust as it once was. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know enough about that marketplace to speak about it intelligently, but it seems to me that it would seeing that corrugated is typically it's really tertiary. So it's the third level of packaging, not even sometimes secondary, but most of the time it's third. If that's down, it stands to reason that everything else is going to be down a little bit too.
Yeah.
I would probably say folding cartons did not have the same spike because not everything had to be shipped in a folding carton, right? So you could ship all sorts of things in the brown boxes. I don't know what the numbers are like you, but I would say it probably had a little bit more of a gradual kind of or a smoother line, I guess. Maybe a smoother arc, so it might be slightly down.
Yeah. Well, kind of to Avelio's point earlier, though, that there is kind of a push away from plastics in the paper, be it right or be it wrong, and that is fueling several companies to expand their ability to make folding carton grades,
including Myers Printing, Myers.com, MEYERS.com.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of one of the things that we're experiencing at with the IDP team is we haven't seen this big fluctuation because we're doing like rigid boxes, so it's like chipboard, custom paper, wrapped boxes. So that's why I'm asking, right? Because it's like I'm seeing people complain, going, "Yeah, I don't see the bubble bursting," but it's like, well, maybe you're in a different segment. Maybe you're doing something a little bit different than what's being tracked here.
Yeah, so let's talk about that for a moment. Health and beauty is a very big.
We got 2 minutes left.
And I got to jump. So health and beauty, for instance, is a very big kind of luxury packaging consumer. Isn't that right, Avelio?
Yeah.
Health and beauty as a market segment has grown up. Is growing at a 5% compound annual growth rate and has been for about the last 20 some years.
Wow.
So it is not backing down, and so it is well within reason for you to not see any kind of lulls in demand for what you're doing, if that's one of your big kind of customers.
Yeah, no, 100%. And like just using that as a transition to artificial intelligence as we wrap up here. Crazy thing. All right. So there's a website called Pactum.com. You can check them out. Pactum.com. I'm popping here. But Pactum, what these guys do is they only work with $5 billion annual companies. Right. So it's gonna be like your Walmarts, your L'Oreal's, your Tiffany's, those types of brands. And what they do is they actually use AI to renegotiate all of your supplier contracts. Walmart tried it with a small segment of suppliers, and they were able to save 3%. So now they're rolling it out across all of their suppliers. But I mean, 3% for a Walmart is huge,
Right.
you know, and it's able to renegotiate. It's able to contact 2,000 suppliers a go, right? Something that a human can't do. I mean, you're doing one at a time, sending email after email or call after call. This is just doing all automated and able to handle 2,000 of them all at once. So I think, you know, as suppliers, as producers, this is something we have to now be ready for. Is AI kind of changing?
Do you think, Avelio, I know we've only got like a minute or so left, but on that topic, I was talking to somebody about would AI and can it at some point in time do this, or maybe you can do it now, but I got to believe it should be able to answer like, how much should my stuff cost, right? Is that kind of what it's doing?
Yeah.
Or is it just, because if it could do that, if a customer, if Tiffany or Walmart could just go in and upload, you know, hey, here's all the stuff we buy, and then this tool could come back and say, you should be spending $2.2 million on this, and they go, oh, we spent 2.6 million. Like, or all the way down to something like here's a label, here's a box, how much does this cost if I want to buy 10,000 of them? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. No, 100%. I think we'll get to that point where it'll know this is what you should be paying. This is what you should be paying plus a 20% markup, or whatever. And then
if you're a company, if your company's making stuff, instead of like running quotes all day long, you just say like, we validate this AI engine,
right?
And then and now it's like, which of these companies do you want to buy from at this price? You know what I'm saying?
100%.
So anyway,
we'll have to talk about this next Monday. Guys, we got to run. Check out People of Packaging, Sustainable Packaging Podcast, Packaging Unboxed, and go hunt down Ryan Fox and find out about box demand.
Thanks, Ryan.
Boxes.
Thanks, Ryan. Appreciate you guys on there. See ya.
Live from Studio 3, this is Packaging Today with